So it's good to see everybody this morning. This is a big week. Some kids started school last week. Some start school this week. Some leave for college this week. Some next week. So we're back in that time of year again. We live lives of great ritual and practice. We have certain patterns to life. My wife knows that, say, this afternoon, after church, we'll probably get something to eat. We'll go home, and at some time between 3 and 4, maybe 4:30, I might sit in a certain chair and turn on golf. And 20 minutes later, I'll come back to the kitchen, and my wife will say, "Did you take your nice nap?" Because there's a certain ritual and a certain time, and we learn it. And some of you know that. Have you ever had one of those mornings, maybe it was just you got really tired, and you slept really deep and hard, and you wake up in the morning, and the first thing you think is, what day is this? And you lay there for a while to figure out what day it is. Or maybe you've had the alarm go off, and the alarm is going off, and maybe it's 6 a.m. and the alarm goes off, and it might not be the normal time, and when it goes off you think, why is my alarm going off? I know there's a reason. And if I lay here long enough, I'll figure it out. There's a certain rhythm to life. Maybe during vacation week or holiday week, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that pattern is disrupted. And we have trouble with figuring out some things. It just doesn't feel right. I bet you've done this. Have you ever, for instance, I'm just trying to think, maybe you go to work downtown, and I'm just making up a route, and every day you got to angle down, and you take 90, you take the Kennedy in, every day you take the Kennedy, and then it's that day you're on vacation with the family. Except you want to go all the way down 53 to 355, and maybe then take 55 to St. Louis, that's the direction you're going. And you start that way, and you're driving down the road, and you get to 90, and you just take the exit. Because you're just out of habit. You just do certain things. The question I'm asking this morning is, what day is it? See, the day is important because the day determines what we do. Often the day determines how we behave. I mean, if it's Thursday morning and it's 7 o'clock and you're on your way to work, or if it's Saturday morning at 7 o'clock and all you have on your schedule is sealing the driveway, that's going to determine what you put on. I'm reading in Matthew chapter 28, starting with verse 1. It says, after the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb. And there was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, and going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He is risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. I'll stop there. My word is that first verse, at dawn on the first day of the week, the first day. Let me ask you a different question. What was your last day like? What was your last day? Was it a good day? Or was it frustrating? Did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish? Or did you not get it done? My day yesterday was boring. I had to drive. Terry and I had to drive for an hour and a half, Terry more, to go sit in a committee meeting for about 4 hours. That's not the way I would rather spend my day. And then drive back. See, their previous day, their last day had been hopeless. Jesus was dead. And the walls seemed to be closing in on the disciples. Their leader was taken. They were worried that they were next. And they sat and they were afraid. And that was their last day. The sad thing is that last day for them was the Sabbath. It was Saturday. It was supposed to be the day that was their day of celebration. It was supposed to be their most holy day, but that was the day where it was the darkest and the most hopeless for them. Even though it was the Sabbath, the leaders had used the law as a pretext and as a reason to kill Jesus. It was the day that was to be celebrated and the centerpiece of Jewish life. But the only thing that happened on their Saturday was mourning the death of Jesus. And all hope was lost. You ever had a day when all hope is lost? There was a day, some of you remember it was a long time, it was a number of years ago. It might have been 10 or 11, 12 years ago. It was October. And I don't think here, but at our house, we had 9 inches of rain in not that much time. My wife and I spent about 5 straight hours in the basement with towels and 2 wet vacs going nonstop. About 3 hours in, you wonder if there's any stop to what's going on. Am I going to be rolling this boulder uphill or running this wet vac for the rest of my life? Their day was far worse. Little did they know that the very next day would be the first day. And it started desperate and sad. Yet why was this day called the first day? Well, it was Sunday. It was literally the start of their work week. Now, that's a bit of an anachronism, but coming off of Saturday, Sunday was the day their lives resumed normal pace. By the way, if you like your weekends, if you're a person that loves your weekends, you have Judaism and Christianity to thank for that. It was Sunday. It was the first day, though, because the 7th day was over. Now it starts the first day. But really what changed everything were the words of an angel that said Jesus was alive. Now it's the first day for a lot of different reasons. If this news is really true, then everything has changed. Everything. What we think we know is no longer true. Perhaps death doesn't have the last word anymore. So, I was just thinking the other day for a lot of different reasons. As I was thinking through this sermon, I don't want to depress anybody here. That's not my job. But I was just thinking, I'm 54 years old. In all likelihood, I'm 2/3 of the way done with life. Sorry. 27, 54, 81. Just on average, that's about right. Michelle was telling me a story of someone that she used to know, someone she went to school with, a guy who did a lot of physical activity and exercised all the time, and he was out for a walk a little bit ago, and he was 56, and in the middle of his walk, he just keeled over. And I went, oh, that's a nice story, dear. Thank you for sharing that. How old am I? Wow, okay. We live our life with the faint sound of a clicking clock. Clicking clock? A ticking clock. There we go. I have no idea what a clicking clock is. None. One of these days I'll figure it out. Now, you know what? There's far worse consonants that I could have switched that would have led to far more embarrassment. Let's be thankful that it was a clicking clock and not something else. Because I've done that before, and I don't ever want to do that again. What if this news is really true? Then that upsets our whole idea of a ticking clock in the background, of something keeping time. Perhaps the end is not as close. Perhaps it's not even in the picture at all. Perhaps God loved us enough to enter our world. Perhaps He rose from the dead, and if He rose from the dead, then perhaps everything can be new again. Everything can be different. I am not doomed by my past. My past does not have to determine my future anymore. What my grandfather did, or my mother did, or my brother did, or all my friends did, that doesn't mean that I'm doomed to repeat those same mistakes. This first day may not just be the first day of the week. What if it's the first day of the rest of history? A history that will be completely different than the previous few thousand years. This is not then just a historical day to mark on a calendar, but this is a day that will have continuing effects for the rest of your life. I wrote about it in my eMerge this week. How many things we allow to get needlessly and hopelessly intertwined with this central idea that Jesus died and rose again. And if he rose again, everything's changed. Everything's changed. It's also the first day because each week we celebrate. Why today? After all, the Sabbath is Saturday to the Jewish people. Shouldn't we meet and worship on Saturday? When did we have the committee meeting that changed from Saturday to Sunday? The new practice that happened very soon after Jesus rose again was that the believers started to meet on Sunday. And the reason they started meeting on Sunday is because that's the day that Jesus rose from the dead. And that day changed everything. Sunday is the first day. Each and every Sunday should be a reminder that we live in the shadow of that original first day. We participate in new life. We should celebrate new life. Truth be told, and I'm not saying this I'm not saying this in a condemning way. I'm just saying this is the reality of life. We approach it just like another day too often. We also approach it like it's an obligation, where we should have a note of celebration each and every time that we meet. Each week that we meet, we should commit to living like it's the first day. So even if you have come to church for years, some of you have been coming to church since Moses was a boy. You should still celebrate, because today's the first day. And it's always the first day. Even if you are here just out of habit, today's the first day. If this is your 8,000th Sunday, that's probably a big stretch. 800th Sunday, that's better. That's 40 years. 800th Sunday. Today's the first day. So I'm asking you a question this morning. The question is this. I want to ask you, what day is it? What day is it? Now, it can be the last day. It can be a hopeless day. There's going to be times in life when life gets kind of dark. There's going to be periods of time when things don't look too good. There is a certain segment of Christianity. It's a segment of Christianity that's kind of prevalent right now that bothers me quite a bit. It's the happy, happy, joy, joy club. Every time, every day, I have to be on top of a mountaintop. Everything has to be great. If you go to Google and you look up worship or praise, you'll find 100 pictures of someone standing on a mountaintop doing this. There's not many days I feel like doing this. There are a lot of days I feel like doing this. Stop. Quit it. I've had enough. We worship just as much on those days. We worship more. We hear God's voice, I think, plainer on these days. I don't know. On these days, I can feel pretty full of myself. Everything's going great. Everything's fantastic. There are times when things aren't going well. The last time things really were hopeless was on a Sabbath day. And Jesus was dead. Until the first day. I would like life to change. I would like things to get better. But you know what? It's always been a little difficult. It's always been a little hard. I admit there are parts of life that I would like to change. But I have to admit it's kind of always been that way. And it does not look like it's changing anytime soon. Those in power often think only of themselves. Most people think only of themselves. You're deserving of the promotion. It's the boss's brother-in-law. I know it's not right. I wish I could tell you everything's going to change tomorrow. I don't know that it will. And maybe you go, I've always been this way. For as long as I can remember, I've struggled with this. And you've reacted like this. I'd like to say what I'm going to do is if you just pray enough and just believe enough and I'll come and do the same thing, you'll get better and you'll never react that way or ever struggle with that way again. I'd love to hold that out, but I think I'd be lying to you. There's value in the struggle sometimes. I can guarantee that God's presence is there in the struggle. And I can also guarantee, as bad as it is, you have no idea how close you are to the first day. Yesterday can be the last day. Today can be the first day. Any day with any issue can be the first day. This is true across life, whatever the issue is. I'm having a problem with this relationship. I'm having little health problems. I need to take this many pounds off. I have little money problems. I've committed to exercise and I walked around the block once and that was a week ago. Today can be the first day. Today everything can start new. Everything can start new. So you know what? You wake up tomorrow, you don't feel like walking around the block. Walk around anyway. And the next day, my foot hurts. I don't care. Walk around it again. 3 weeks from now, it'll be easier. 6 weeks from now, you'll look forward to it. I've tried to save money. It's hard. I saved and saved and saved. I've been saving for 6 months now. I've saved $200 in 6 months, and I put it in a bank account, and there's been 37 cents of interest. Well, you've only been doing it 6 months. Can we give it 30 years? And when it gets to a couple thousand, let's have a talk. We'll find something that gets better interest. But anyway. But that's even not really what I'm talking about. Jesus rose from the dead, and because he rose from the dead, today is the first day. Whatever day this is can be your first day. Today can really start new. And more than that, not only is it the first day, but in whatever your task is going forward in this first day, you are not alone. God lives in us and walks with us. And if we allow it, his Spirit will also empower us. Now, here's how I've heard this times in the past. If you'll just come down and say a magic prayer, make a magic commitment, and then it'll always get better, and 6 months from now, you kind of struggle with the same area. Well, I don't know why you had a problem. Boy, I just wish it was that simple. There's lots of things in life. I used to say, this is not an issue now. When I was 20, when I was 18, it used to be. I've never in my life been in a fight off of a baseball field or basketball court. That stuff's not important anymore. But that didn't happen overnight either. I'd like to think there's other things that have happened in life along the way. He who began a good work in us will be faithful to complete it. The promise of Jesus Christ is not that in a moment's notice every struggle in life will be taken away, but His presence will be there in every struggle. There's also times in life where we're at a funeral service, looking in a casket or standing at a graveside, looking at a 6-foot deep hole in the ground, mourning a last day, and celebrating, hopefully, a first day. Both need to be there. You see, each and every day of life we have a choice. We get to determine what day it will be. Is this the last day? Is this like every other day, or is this going to be my first day? Perhaps a better way to state this is this. Will you live like it is just another one of your last days, or will you live like it's the first day? Every day, any moment can be the first day. Go back to a thing that you've struggled with. Pastor, I struggled with it again. Okay. Are you willing to make this your first day? And if 3 years from now, there's a bad day, you struggle with whatever it is again, are you willing to have it be your first day then? I look a lot at the lives of the biblical characters that we hold up pretty highly, and there was a lot of interesting moments in there. David, we don't even need to talk about David. All that he went through. Look at Elijah, who stared down the prophets of Baal. Hundreds of people arrayed against him, and he boldly stood up. And then just moments later, when he heard the queen wasn't happy, he ran and hid. Paul, 3 times I asked the Lord to take away this thorn from the flesh. And the simple answer is, my grace will be sufficient. See, I know there are times in life that things are not good and nothing seems to be going right, and maybe you're right in the middle of one of these times. Yet this is not the first day. This is not the first moment that things have not gone right. Just look this last day that we talked about in Matthew. Jesus was dead. Rome was in power. Pilate was handing out death sentences. The disciples were huddled in fear. They did not know that just literally hours away was this pronouncement on the first day. The first day. Here's the good news this morning. You might have come to church this morning in the middle of your last day. The good news is you can leave on the first day. Not of the week, of the rest of your history. Let's put it even better way. In the rest of eternity, this can be the first day. The first day.